Hello world literature students. The purpose of this PowerPoint is to walk you through 3 new parts of speech. This PowerPoint is located in our website under current unit information if you ever want to access it again without the screencast. It covers all 8 parts of speech, but we will only be focusing on prepositions, adverbs, and conjunctions. We'll throw in interjections at the end, but you don't need to take notes on interjections. You should have received in class a handout on which you will be taking notes from this screencast. You will need to fill out that handout for homework and show it as evidence of completion to your English teacher after you're done with this video. So let's get started. As I said, this PowerPoint contains information on all parts of speech, so we're just going to quickly move through the ones that you should have already studied. So we talked about nouns as people, places, things, and ideas. We talked about common versus proper nouns, and we talked about how if you can put a, an, or the in front of a word and it makes sense, you have a noun. We've also talked about pronouns and how they take the place of nouns. And we talked about how pronouns can be singular or plural, and not to confuse pronouns with adjectives. Adjectives, as you remember, describe nouns or pronouns. We talked about how adjectives talk about what kind, which one, how many, how much, and again reminded you not to confuse the adjectives with the pronouns. Lastly, we've also talked about verbs, how verbs express an action or state of being. We further explained that state of being refers to talking about tense and attitude. So tense means either telling you that something is in present, past, or future tense, and attitude with words such as might, should, could. And we talked about how if you put to in front of a word, it is probably a verb. Okay, so now this brings us to adverbs, which should be the first part of speech that you should take notes on your handout. First thing I need you to write down is what an adverb is. And you had some experience with adverbs during our station work this afternoon. An adverb modifies a verb, adjective, or another adverb. And sorry for the typo there, that should say another. As you remember, modify means to describe. So adverbs and adjectives are very similar. They each describe something, but don't confuse what they describe. Adjectives describe nouns and pronouns. Adverbs describe verbs, adjectives, or adverbs. So on the table, I like for you to fill it out based on these examples. Adverbs tell you where. The bird was chirping outside. Outside, you might be thinking, well, outside is a place, and aren't places nouns? Well, not in this case. If you remember, words can act as different parts of speeches. Because chirping is a verb, it's an action that the bird is doing. Outside is telling you where the bird was chirping. So in this sentence, outside is an adverb. Similarly, the bird chirped today. So again, today sounds like a noun. But because it is telling you when the bird chirped, again, modifying the verb, it is an adverb. The bird chirped loudly. This should be a little bit clearer. It's describing how the bird chirped. Notice that it ends in ly. More on that in a second. Because it's telling you how the bird chirped, loudly is an adverb. And last but not least, it tells you to what extent. The bird never chirped. Notice how in this case the adverb came before the verb. And it's telling you how much the bird chirped, which is never. So please make sure you write that down, and also don't forget to write down our hint. If a word ends in ly, as you see that one of ours does in the example at the table, and many do in the example up here, then you will know that chances are it's an adverb. That now brings us to prepositions. In the station work today, you got to play with a ball in a box, and that's the easiest hint to remember what a preposition is. Anything you can do to a box is a preposition. So you can be on the box, you can be above the box, you can go over the box, you can be in front of it, you can be beside, you can be below, you can be under, you can be behind. These are all examples of prepositions. The actual formal definition of a preposition, which you should write down, is that the preposition shows the relationship between a noun and pronoun and another word. So for example, with the ball being on the box. The word on tells you the relationship between the ball and the box. It tells you where the ball is in relation to the box. So the word on there is a preposition. The hint, as you've already probably figured out, is that a preposition is anything you can do to a box. And again, look above. Which, by the way, there, above is an adjective. It is not an adjective, it is an adverb because it's telling you where to look. So I apologize for the second typo. Hopefully there will not be a third. That now brings us to conjunctions. Conjunctions are the parts of speech that you use to combine sentences during our station work. There are examples of conjunctions right here for you on the slide. The formal definition of a conjunction is that it combines words or list of words. The hint for a conjunction is, and that you should write this down under in the allocated box, is to remember fanboys. Fanboys tells you the most basic conjunctions. F stands for, which is actually usually a preposition. I know that's confusing, but we'll go over that a little bit later. You don't really need to worry about that one. You do need to worry about the and boys. A, as you can see, stands for and. And will always be a conjunction, as will nor, which is what the N stands for. But, or, yet, or so are other examples of the most commonly used conjunctions. So your hint to remember what a conjunction is to remember the word fanboys minus the F, because for is usually a preposition. That brings us to our last part of speech. You need to know what this is, but you won't necessarily be tested on it. Our final part of speech is an interjection. Those are all examples of interjections. You should be realizing that all of these express an emotion. And an interjection is exactly that. It's a word that expresses a strong feeling or emotion. Interjections add nothing grammatically to the sentence besides the emotion. So for example, in the sentence, yay, this class is fun, if you take off the yay, the sentence still makes sense. This class is so much fun. So yay added emotion, but it didn't add anything grammatical to the sentence. You should now be on the third page of your notes. You should notice there that that third page gives you commonly used preposition and commonly used conjunctions. You should refer to that page when studying and completing our do nows and review handouts in preparation for our assessment next week. I hope that this has been helpful. If you have any questions, please see your English teacher. Have a good day, and we look forward to checking your homework tomorrow.